All around the world, deep lakes and dangerous rivers have spawned legends of monsters. And not all of them are just fishermen's tales. I've found places where people believe they are not only haunted, but also hunted by otherworldly creatures. My name's Jeremy Wade, explorer, biologist, and extreme angler.
Ow! What I don't want is for them to draw blood. If they draw blood, that could really get them going.
In this special edition of River Monsters, I'm reliving encounters with freshwater creatures so powerful, elusive, and rare, they've become legendary. I'm searching for the real creatures behind the myths. Untangling outrageous fish fiction from astonishing fish fact. If there's one thing I've learned from 30 years of hunting down legendary fish, it's to expect the unexpected.
I've never seen anything like this in my life before.
I've seen for myself that some of the world's most impressive aquatic beasts aren't confined to the sea.
Please, back.
Over countless generations, some freshwater monsters have given rise to legends.
It's actually believed that if you kill fish, that's going to bring bad luck to you.
Whether it's a fearful tribal myth, a deeply held spiritual belief, or a creepy cautionary tale, I've found outlandish stories of freshwater monsters on every continent I've explored. As a rationalist, it's tempting to dismiss most, if not all, these stories as mere mumbo-jumbo. Yet if there's one thing I've learnt over 30 years chasing river monsters, it's that some legends can be traced back to a real animal.
There it is, that's the fish, there's the fish!
Nailing the culprit is never easy. Most rivers are murky, and the creatures within them may be rare and only fleetingly glimpsed. Furthermore, the power of imagination and the countless retelling of stories can then distort an already imperfect picture. Ultimately, proof for me means delivering a body. But what kind of a body could possibly match the evil-looking beast known as the Kappa? According to what I've read, this living legend has grasping hands. Hands that can pull you under and tear out your soul. Some legends are so deep-rooted they persist down the ages, even to the heart of a high-tech world like 21st century Japan. The threat of the child snatcher is every parent's nightmare. And even today, there are signs alongside rivers that warn children not to get too close to the water, in case a spirit called the Kappa sucks their souls away. How could such a far-fetched myth prevail if there weren't a grain of truth within it? I've come to Honshu Island in Japan to find out. Professor Kuroda is a Japanese anthropologist who remembers his parents warning him about the deadly Kappa.
Professor Kuroda says that he was told not to go swimming because the Kappa would actually come and takes your spirit. I mean, did you believe that as a child?
Yes, he did believe it. And he tells me that when two of his classmates drowned in a nearby river, he was told their deaths were the work of the sinister Kappa. Although this creature is said to be strong enough to kill cattle and horses, its preferred victims are children. It seems unbelievable, but the fear of this animal is real enough for some parents to build a shrine to placate it.
Oh, there it is. So that is the Kappa. Fascinating looking creature. Almost humanoid in some ways.
Descriptions of the Kappa vary, but most agree this fearsome water creature has a wide mouth and, more surprisingly, hands.
A very, very powerful mental image that people have. And what I'm really interested in is finding out what real creature might have actually given rise to the Kappa.
But is it remotely possible I'll be able to find such a creature in Japan today? To my astonishment, I learn that it is. I meet Mr. Toshimoto, an authority on a rare creature called the Hanzaki.
Is this a Hanzaki?
He shows me a skeleton, which he assures me comes from a real animal.
So here it is, but in some ways I'm none the wiser. I mean, it does look very fish-like. I mean, it looks a bit like a mixture between catfish, lungfish, and eel. But it's not quite as simple as that. There are other bones here as well. It's a middle-sized one. It's 3 feet long, but that's just a middle-sized one. And there we go. That could easily grab hold of my hand.
Same hand. Child.
Some photographs in here of bite marks on hands, which is starting to concentrate my mind a bit.
Very sharp.
Yes. So daytime, if I put my hands underneath stones, I should be a little bit careful, maybe.
Mr. Toshimoto tells me it grows to nearly 5 foot long. I'm joining him on a scientific mission to collect data. And it's my job to capture a specimen.
This animal has sharp teeth that will cut my fingers if they actually went anywhere near its mouth, so I've got my bite-proof Kevlar gloves on. Got to go down with this underwater camera, just try and see if I can find one, see where it is, and then go down and try and grab it.
Mr. Toshimoto tells me the Hanzaki hides under rocks, sometimes even in shallow water, waiting to strike at anything that comes within range. He also warns me to stay away from its mouth. I have to grab it by the tail.
There's one down here, or it might be two. There's a tail sticking out. So hold the tail, grab tight.
Okay.
Okay, so grab tight, and then in the net. Okay.
This isn't a monster I can catch on the end of a line. I've got to use my hands. I've caught a Hanzaki, better known as the giant Japanese salamander, one of the largest salamanders in the world. The good thing is, these guys, unlike fish, are just as at home on land as they are in the water.
Even with my gloves on, my hands stayed away from that mouth. He wasn't too amused by the fact that he was just pulled out of his hole like that. But this, I think, is the creature I've been after. Looks a bit like a fish, but it's got hands. And that's exactly what this has got.
With no natural predators, these creatures are fearless. Their mouths contain hidden rows of teeth that clamp down on slippery prey. They may live for 80 years and can grow to nearly 5 foot and 50 pounds, about the same size as an 8-year-old child. I was skeptical I'd find any creature outlandish enough to inspire the legend of the child snatcher, but seeing is believing. The giant salamander has a flat, plate-like head, a wide mouth lined with sharp teeth, a long, muscular body, and last but not least, limbs with hands and fingers. With this predator in the river, I can now understand why some parents don't let their children go anywhere near the water. And it doesn't take much imagination to see why some think they can swallow souls. Its prey is imprisoned alive until it slowly dissolves. But even the giant salamander is small fry compared to some legendary water beasts. More than once I've been told about a giant fish swallowing someone alive. These legends go back at least as far as Jonah. After 3 days, he walked free. But for most of us, it would be a one-way ticket. In the Amazon, I heard stories of a giant fish choking to death on a man it tried to swallow whole.
The mouth, about 40 centimetres across, so that's a couple of foot across, but he says it opens up more, so sort of maybe 2.5 foot.
This is a man-sized fish, but they go bigger than man-sized. They go a size big enough to swallow a man.
One of the most blood-curdling legends that I've ever encountered tells of a huge beast that stalks and attacks fishermen on a remote lake in Alaska. People say that just setting eyes on this creature is enough to leave you cursed.
Whatever it was in the water, they were afraid it would just come up and swallow them.
Lake Iliamna plunges to around 1,000 foot deep and is big enough to swallow Loch Ness sideways. What better place for a monster to hide? I had my own theory about the identity of this beast, but if I was right, I knew I'd have a fight on my hands. I've come to Alaska to gather intelligence on one of the very biggest, the mysterious monster of Lake Iliamna. Legend says a giant fish carved out the lake with its thrashing, and ever since, a water monster has been blamed for fishermen disappearing. I also learn that 1940s bush pilots reported sightings of a huge creature in the water. I'm meeting up with Robin Levine, who saw the monster last year while coming into land on Lake Iliamna.
Hello,
Hey.
You must be Robin.
Hello.
Hello, lovely place to work.
Robin's an anthropologist studying the subsistence fishing lifestyle of the Alaskan native people.
And it was around here you saw the monster as well, I gather.
Yes, the Iliamna Lake monster. I can take you over and show you exactly where it was.
She's trained to observe things accurately, so she has a clear description of what she saw. Robin is going to show me exactly where she spotted the monster from the air.
Oh, there's the drop-off, yeah?
Now you see the clear shallow right over there?
Yeah.
That's where we saw it. Right there. It was over on that very clear patch.
Oh, really?
We probably had a good 30 to 40 seconds, maybe longer, to see it. Initially, I thought it was a seal, but almost immediately after that thought crossed my mind, I realized it was far too big to move differently. It had a long, broad head, blunted nose. There were very distinct pectoral fins on the side of the fish.
What about the size of this?
As we were pulling into the bay where we were landing, and my friend was coming to pick us up in his boat, I estimated that what we saw was about the same size as his boat, and that's 15 to 18 feet long.
18 foot is 3 of me, end to end. A massive fish, but one that's hiding in a lake that covers 1,000 square miles.
It looks so normal. I've seen beluga from the air. I've seen seals from the air. It looked a part of the natural environment, and I was sure there was some obvious explanation for what we saw.
From the stories I've heard, I now have a prime suspect in mind. but it normally lives in the depths and I could spend a lifetime looking for it here. So I've decided to head south to shallower water, the Columbia River on the Washington-Oregon border. It's time to get tooled up for an epic fight.
This line, although it's very fine, is actually it actually has a breaking strain of 100 pounds. It's going to be quite a physical struggle with the fish on this gear. Bring it in there. Close it up. That's fine.
But nothing could prepare me for the size and strength of the creature on the end of my line.
It's at that point where all your imaginings about what's under the water, they are, well, they're starting to take shape. This is a long, long run. We're running out of line here. We're running out of line. We need to go quick. We're on the backing, we're on the backing. That's the end of my line there, off the reel. I want to get the proper line back on the reel. Right, there we are. We've got the line back on the reel here. That was hairy. I was just watching my line going. There's the fish. There's the fish. There it is. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. That is certainly a big fish. Okay.
I believe this giant, a white sturgeon, is the fish that inspired the legend of the monster of Lake Iliamna.
That was a tiring fight. I've caught some big fish in fresh water. This is probably the biggest freshwater fish I've caught. About 300 pounds, this one. It's, a real monstrous fish.
But how could this toothless bottom feeder possibly account for drowned fishermen? Although we don't know the reason, these torpedo-like fish sometimes bask near the surface, and on occasions, maybe when alarmed, they launch themselves clear of the water. These giants can live for more than a century and grow to 20 foot. Put all these factors together, and I think this case is closed.
In the end, the only detail that didn't fit was the claim that people had been swallowed, but then many legends are embellished over time. Some even gain a spiritual significance. And when this happens, I have to tread carefully. Wanting to catch an animal that others regard as sacred puts me in a dilemma.
In India, I set out to track down an aggressive predatory catfish called the sarang.
But when I arrived, it soon became clear that some locals saw this fish in a very different way to me.
The fishermen refused to let me fish for it until I spoke to their holy man. He tells me the sarang is a fish sacred to Hindus. They believe it eats the half-cooked human remains from cremations cast into the river, then carries the soul to the gods, where it's reincarnated into another human body.
This is a fish that shouldn't be eaten, but beyond that, it's actually a sin to kill it. Babaji, mai machi shikari hu. I'm a fisherman and I'm here to try and catch a sarang.
The holy man warns me that trying to catch this fish will bring nothing but bad luck.
This fish is actually the god's gift to people, and not only is it a big fish with big teeth, it also has some kind of divine protection. This is a fish that you mess with at your peril.
But because I mean the creature no harm and plan to return it to the river, I don't take his warning to heart. But already, things aren't going my way.
The people who are doing the fishing there, they say, don't come today, there's going to be some trouble.
So I leave the fishermen behind and head alone into the wilds. And it's out of the frying pan and into the fire. because here the man-eaters aren't just in the water. I need to keep my wits about me.
We've got a sort of a palm print, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Here again, palm, 1, 2, 3, 4. So going that way, tiger. There is actually an active man-eater around at the moment. About, I think it's 5 people in the last couple of months.
But this is where I have to fish. I'm not overly superstitious, but as soon as I try to catch this fish, everything starts to go wrong.
It's off, it's off, it's off. Ah!
I try to stay rational, but even I start to get the feeling that someone doesn't want me here. It feels like my fate is in the balance. But after weeks of failure,
Just bloody ridiculous.
finally my luck looks set to change.
Oh!
And this time it feels like a very big fish.
That's gone, wherever it was. That was a fish, and that took moments after the bait was in the water. And then the line tightened, and there was a real weight on the end. That was a sizable fish. I was really leaning into that, and that's a fish gone.
This was one of very few occasions when I came away empty-handed. Perhaps I should have paid more attention to the holy man. Of all my investigations, that was one of the most frustrating. And shortly afterwards, I found myself in almost exactly the same situation. Hunting for an aggressive predator that locals regard as strictly taboo. This time, I'm not taking any chances. I've travelled halfway around the world to Mongolia to track down the Taimen, a monstrous fish so rare it's all but passed into legend. Mongolia is a vast landlocked country in Asia. 8 centuries ago, this was at the centre of warlord Genghis Khan's empire. Today, it's the most sparsely populated country on Earth. The rivers are almost never fished. According to tradition, it's virtually forbidden. And those who ignore tradition do so at their peril.
Taimen is a real aggressive, scary fish.
And just like the warning about the Sarang in India, I was told by a holy man that I shouldn't catch a Taimen.
It's actually believed that if you kill fish, that's going to bring bad luck to you.
Others tell me my only hope for good fortune is to appeal to the spirits of the river. To do that, I must consult a shaman. Unlike other parts of the world, in Mongolia, women can take on that role. She bangs a drum to help her enter a trance-like state. Before my eyes, she transforms, from a soft-spoken woman to a gruff-voiced oracle. She's literally a woman possessed.
Apparently, having looked at my palms, although fishing is a bad thing, it doesn't please the spirits, there is some good in me, and the spirit will bring the fish to me. But what I've got to do, not just here but other rivers, is when I go to the river, I've got to make some kind of offering to the spirits before I fish.
But will it be enough to summon the river wolf that I've travelled so far to find? After weeks of searching, it's time to brave freezing rapids, to find out whether the spirits will bring this incredibly rare and aggressive fish to me.
Yes, 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 yes. That's a fish, that's a fish. Right, I can see it. I can see that red tail. Right, now just take it easy now. Big red tail. This is a good sized fish. It's starting to spin. Okay, it's spinning, it's spinning, it's spinning.
After a nerve-wracking fight, the myth made flesh. The Taimen, king of these remote rivers.
Wow. Just looking at this thing now, you can just tell how well adapted it is for this predatory lifestyle in this fast water. Very, very streamlined body, but this huge mouth, and the teeth in there are just angled, you know, they almost come back flat, which is why they're not immediately visible. And it's even got teeth on the tongue.
This powerful predator can live for more than 50 years. And in some Asian rivers, it has taken only 50 years for its population to collapse by 95%. As the world shrinks, the Taimen is becoming increasingly under threat. This is a fish I wasn't sure I would ever live to see. Ironically, the taboo that threatened to stop me catching that fish is probably the very thing that's protecting it in its last stronghold. If there's one sacred creature that gives me the creeps more than any other, it's a serpent-like flesh-eater whose ancestor, according to legend, was cast out, then hacked in two by the gods. New Zealand was the last major landmass on Earth to be settled by people. And when the Maori came here barely 800 years ago, they revered one animal above all others. When the British explorer Captain Cook came to New Zealand, he was told by a Maori chief about a snake-like creature that grew up to 8 foot long and devoured men. It sounded like a very tall tale, until a recent terrifying attack on a diver in a lake made me reconsider. I had my own ideas what this might be, but I still had to bridge a yawning credibility gap between this and the Maori monster. There are no snakes in New Zealand, and there never have been. My prime suspect for the creature behind the legend is a fish that looks like a snake.
Maori legends are full of tales about predatory beasts called taniwha. Now, these potentially very dangerous creatures are quite slippery customers, and sometimes they take the form of a giant eel.
The longfin is the biggest freshwater eel in the world, and its veins pulse with toxic blood. It's only found in the rivers, lakes and caves of New Zealand. So I've travelled to Mangawhitakau on the North Island to see if this beast has what it takes to be a man-eating river monster. My first encounter with this mysterious creature is going to take me deep underground. The eels here are said to have lived in total darkness for 30 years. What will they make of an intruder bearing a flashlight and morsels of flesh? This one may never have seen a human, yet it's completely unafraid. But there's a difference between boldness and outright aggression.
Could they ever be, in the words of Cook, devourers of men?
My first lead is a story of what appears to be a deliberate attack on an 8-year-old girl named Carol Davis. For several days, large eels had been attacking ducks on her father's property. Then one decided to go for Carol. My prime suspect has the taste for flesh and the predatory attitude of a river monster, but does it have the means to devour a human? Even if I scale this beast up to 8 foot long, I can't imagine its jaws and tiny teeth ever being capable of the job. I need to run a test of my own to discover exactly how they take on prey larger than themselves. A hunter has provided me with a deer carcass, and I've brought along a high-tech box of tricks to discover just how voracious they are. Underwater cameras placed around the bait will give me separate views of the tail, throat and stomach. The stage is set. All I can do now is sit and wait. For nearly 2 hours, nothing shows up.
There we go. It's getting in there. Yep, it's latching on. It's actually spinning. It's spinning around.
A vice-like grip clamps onto flesh. Like a crocodile, the eel spins violently, tearing its prey to shreds. I'm now in no doubt that given the right opportunity, these creatures could tear a human limb from limb.
It actually reminds me of this story that I've heard. It's one of those stories that I haven't been able to pin down where it happened to, but a few people have told me this, and it's somebody who was driving, supposedly had a few to drink.
It's said that the man swerved out of control and crashed into a lake. Unconscious and bleeding, he would have been, quite literally, a sitting target for marauding eels. I've now seen with my own eyes how a pack of longfins could make a real mess of someone, given half a chance. I've also tracked down credible stories of massive eels living in New Zealand's remote backwaters. Yet just when I'm ready to try and catch one of these slippery monsters, I run into an unexpected problem. In wilderness areas like this, fishing for eels with hooks is now strictly forbidden. I've no choice but to give up my usual methods and start from scratch. Eel fisherman Vic Thompson is my teacher.
I'm going to make a bob for you. Simply find a bit of steak like that, or a bit of any red meat, cut it into a slim slice. And I've got a bit of mackerel fish here, which adds a bit of flavour.
Yep.
You have a bit of wool, just ordinary darning wool needle, thread through like that to start with. Pull it right through, and then you just wind this around like that.
Yep.
After you've done the first layer like that, you've got to put a loop on here to attach it to your line.
The theory is simple. When the eel bites, its teeth get tangled in the wool. I must then drag it ashore before it shakes itself free.
So there you've got your loop on your bob. Good bite size for an eel.
So I guess the angler doesn't have the hook. The eel actually has the hook in this situation, doesn't it? The eel has lots of hooks in its mouth, so they hook onto the wool. Very low tech, but very effective by the sound of it.
Very effective.
It all sounds straightforward, but as I head for a deserted spot on a deep water lake, I'm not so sure. The method I've just learnt is a traditional Maori technique known as toi, or bobbing. One clear benefit, at least, is that with no hooks involved, there's little danger of spilling the eel's toxic blood. Assuming I can catch one. Having cast my very first hookless bait, I wait for a bite. It feels like I've been disarmed.
It's still in the mouth, it's still in its mouth. Look at that, just came out. Come here. There we go. My first fish on a bob. The technique actually works, and it works for two reasons. A bit of role reversal here. Normally it's me providing the hook. This eel has got hundreds of little hooks in its mouth in the form of teeth, and that's why it catches onto that bob. It sort of hooks in, but the other thing is it's a predator, and so it thinks that bait is getting away, so it hangs on, and then if I'm quick about it, it's up on the bank before it actually knows what's going on.
But did they ever grow to 8 foot long, as the Maoris reported to Captain Cook? In my investigation, I encountered 5-foot eels, and given that these fish can live for more than 100 years, I think it's entirely plausible that there were, and maybe still are, 8-foot giants living in New Zealand's wild interior, keeping this lethal legend very much alive. Some legends have spread so widely that it's hard to trace them back to a single place, let alone a single creature. Africa is the home to some of the most dangerous rivers I've fished. The Congo, the Nile, and the Zambezi. And for the countless fishermen whose lives depend on these monster rivers, they are a source of both life and death. Faced with such harsh realities on a daily basis, it's no wonder Africa is steeped in myths and legends of deadly river creatures. Some of these legendary predators are very real. I came across fishermen savaged by crocodiles.
Unbelievably, I mean, he still fishes, as this picture here proves.
Fishermen across Africa are also forced to share the river with its #1 killer, hippos.
Hippo's very, very close. Looking this way, gone underwater. I don't like the look of this, actually.
But many Africans believe mythical river monsters, just as deadly, are also out to get them. Their world is full of danger, real or imagined, and they have elaborate rituals to protect themselves. These people believe the deadly spirits that stalk Africa's rivers take on many forms. Across huge swathes of the continent, people must contend with a supernatural femme fatale called Mamiwata. Siren-like, she's said to lure men to a watery grave. And she's often blamed when fishermen vanish without trace. But there's one legend in Africa, a creature of such destructive force that it's hard to imagine it being rooted in any real animal. The river god Nyami Nyami rules the thundering Zambezi. He is all-powerful, and according to legend, capable of unleashing catastrophic floods. Fearful fishermen wear his image around their necks, as he's also accused of dragging the unwary to the bottom of the river, never to be seen again. It's easy to doubt that any real creature can live up to this river god's reputation for off-the-scale carnage. But however improbable, there's only ever one way to find out. I'm searching for the fish at the heart of these horrifying stories on the bone-crushing rapids of the Zambezi. The turbulent margins at the edge of the rapids are often home to predators. Here, anything dragged into the churning water is spat out, dazed and confused, easy prey for a voracious predator.
If I fall in the river, which I don't want to do, but it is a possibility, at least we got an eddy here, we got a slack. I can come into slack water and there's a beach over there. There's some possible places to land fish here. Might be a bit of a scramble, but it's doable. At least I've thought about it. The last thing you want is to have a fish on, you get it in close, and then what do? How do I land it? And you end up doing something potentially dangerous.
I'm about to find out what kind of creature can survive the Zambezi's thunderous rapids.
Fish on! It's a strong fish, this.
I'm not just fighting the fish, but the power of the rapids too.
Oh, I think it's off. Oh, no.
I have to get it into calmer water or I'll lose it.
Tiger fish. I mean, toothy, strong fish, powerful predator.
There's no denying its mouth is armed with ferocious teeth, but the creature I'm after needs to be big enough to pull in a man from the bank.
Grows quite big, but not as big as the animal I've been hearing about. And also, it's not really serpentine, but it just goes to show that you do get fish living in some really crazy water. It's a good sign. But I don't think I'm any nearer at the moment the fish that I'm after.
The 300-foot deep gorge squeezes the Zambezi into 70 miles of tumultuous rapids. It's no surprise many drown here. But some fishermen mysteriously vanish in calmer water without explanation. Melvin lost his uncle to the river 2 years ago.
My uncles, they went fishing. Put the line to his leg, then you're in sleep.
So we put the line around his foot so that he could go to sleep or rest, and that would let him know when there was a fish on.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, on this day, he got more than he bargained for. Melvin tells me it was a serpent-like fish that killed his uncle.
So it looks a bit like a snake?
Yeah, like python snake.
But where can I find such a monster? A fisherman tells me a story similar to Melvin's. This time it's a trespassing South African tourist who nearly drowns in the Zambezi, below the Kariba Dam. He claims to have been dragged in by a giant catfish, known as the vundu.
Very, very big.
Yeah.
Some I even knew.
That is actually the thickness of the body.
Man-made dams often stir up stories of super-scaled river monsters. Deep, fish-filled lakes form above the dam wall, delivering a constant stream of food to the water below. What better place for a freak of nature to grow? I've got special permission to fish here, but only for one day. Now it's my turn to confront whatever's lurking in the turbulent waters below the Kariba Dam. The clock is ticking and there's no access to boats. I'm casting into a pool 500 foot wide and said to be 300 foot deep.
That's the fish on. I'm just worried about the other line. I'm just going to wait till it comes this way. When we get the other line, I'm going to run along the bank there.
Is the creature I'm about to unmask the real killer?
That's a vundu. What a fish and what a place to catch it in. Could be crocs here. So what I'm going to do, I think I'm just going to pull it. Just looking for a good place to land, maybe up here. But this is powerful. A big one of these would be capable of pulling an unwary fisherman if that fisherman had the line wrapped around his toe or ankle.
It's a muscular powerhouse capable of incredible propulsion in the water. But could the river monster also be a river god?
That is the representation of Nyami Nyami. Now, I wonder if this is the creature that the water god, the water spirit, is based on.
Both possess powerful serpentine bodies, and perhaps the fangs on traditional carvings are inspired by the extraordinary barbels Vundu used to track down prey. With this river monster, I believe I have uncovered the lethal force behind the legend. In my investigations, I've often found that fact is stranger than fiction. Many of the creatures I've caught are just as creepy, terrifying,
Look at that, look at that, look at that, look at that, look at that!
or deadly as any legend. I've found that many of these ancient stories are not only based in truth, but they also serve a very important purpose: to warn us of the very real dangers that I know lurk just beneath the surface.